Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Crash Zoom. I'm Rough Draft Associate Editor Sammie Purcell, here as always with indie filmmaker Aaron Strand. How you doing today, Aaron?
I'm doing all right, Sammie. I bit my tongue. I'm gonna be honest with you. I bit my tongue. Podcaster injury. I was on IR
Just a
there for a little bit.
Yeah, I was.
I was questionable whether or not I was going to play today, but I'm here. I'm trying to power through it. Being a podcaster is really, really hard, and I'm dealing with the fallout of this career choice right at the moment.
Oh, that reminds me of you probably haven't seen this. Have you seen Bodies, Bodies, Bodies? That like kind of
I have seen Bodies, Bodies,
Oh,
Bodies.
you have. It reminds me of that bit where Rachel Sennett's like, Boogie Pack, it's really hard to have a podcast. You have to book the guests. You have to manage your Google Calendar.
Yes.
Oh, man. She wasn't wrong.
She's not wrong. She's not wrong. Are you a Bodies, Bodies, Bodies fan?
I liked Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I had a good time. I liked the end. Made me laugh. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought it was cute. It was fine.
Yeah, it wasn't scary. I remember I had so many friends being like, oh, I'm too scared. I was like, guys, this is a good time. It's like 89 minutes long. Like, it's not scary. It's funny. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I like Rachel Sennett a lot. And I liked their set cast too. It was fun. Well, we do more on this podcast and talk about Rachel Sennett and the horrors of podcasting. If you've never listened to an episode of Crash Zoom before, welcome. Thank you for listening. What Aaron and I do here is we talk about what's going on in the film industry at a big picture level, and we try to boil down why that matters to the independent filmmaker. So if you listen today and you like what you hear, you can hit that subscribe button, please. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch us on YouTube at Crash Zoom Podcast. Be sure to rate and review as well. That really helps us out. All right, let's dive into this week's topic. It's probably the last I'm going to say this, but we're kind of trying out a new format here. So we started it last week. So instead of diving into multiple different topics, we're just going to dive into one topic and talk about it for 20 to 30 minutes. So let's dive into it. We're talking about Laika. So I thought this would be sort of an interesting addition to our conversations recently surrounding animation. So we talked about Elio, the new Pixar movie, and its sort of failure, I believe, a couple weeks ago. We also talked about AI, the new AI animated series from, see if I can get it, CJENM off the top of my head.
Cat Biggie.
Yeah, got it. Cat Biggie. We talked about that last week. So kind of continuing the animation trend here. So this is an article from Indiewire. It was written by Brian Welk, and it's about Laika's second act. So how the stop motion animation house is reintroducing itself to fans. Also kind of an interesting pairing with our earlier episode this week, sort of about how to kind of like reintroduce TCM, I guess, to a new crop of people. Anyway, thinking off the top of my head. So if you don't know what Laika is, it's a stop motion animation studio. It's owned by Nike co-founder Phil Knight, and his son Travis is the president and CEO. So if you've seen, Coraline, I would say is probably their biggest, most recognizable name. It's Henry Selick film, but they've also got the Box Trolls, Paranorman, I think, Kubo and the Two Strings, and then Missing Link was their most recent film. So it's been 6 years since Laika put out Missing Link. It was critically successful, but a huge financial flop, and that's sort of where this article starts. So it's kind of following the rebuilding, quote unquote, so to say, of Laika and their sort of quest to reintroduce themselves to the public and how they're going about doing that. So we can kind of dive into what they're doing. I think the biggest one sort of here is they have a new movie coming out. It's called Wildwood. But I'll just stop there. Aaron, what did you think about this article?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts here, Sammie.
Yeah.
And the first one is the premise of this article is inherently disingenuous. This is a classic Hollywood trade glazing article. Meant to make the subjects look good, probably some sort of underhand kind of deal around this type of coverage. But let's be very clear here. This is not Laika's second act. This is Laika's third act. And I would like to give a little backstory about this company and how we got here. a little history lesson, a little Aaron Strand history special.
Love it.
Because
My
it is
fave.
very important to understand the narrative of this company and how that impacts their future. So, are you familiar with a artist by the name of Will Vinton, Sammie?
I am not.
Well, let me tell you something. Will Vinton, he was a real American artist. This is a guy that was born in Oregon in 1947. He went down and studied at UC Berkeley. He was there in the middle of the 60s. He was there summer of 67. Total counterculture kind of character. He ended up making all these documentaries about the counterculture while he was at UC Berkeley, and toured them around the country. And he was just one of these, thousands of artists that kind of were inspired by this cultural moment in the late 60s that affected their work. In the early 70s, he convinced an animator named Bob Gardner to move to Portland. And in Vinton's basement, they began experimenting with a new type of animation using clay. They spent 14 months on a stop-motion animated short called Closed Mondays. And that short film went on to win the 1975 Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film. It was the first film ever made in Portland to win an Academy Award.
Huh.
After the partnership ended, Vinton turned this little startup into what he called Will Vinton Studios in Portland. And he began producing a number of stop motion animated commercials, and they were for first like local businesses and then regional. And pretty soon he was doing national stuff, all made from this clay style of animation. And he actually literally trademarked the term claymation, which he and Gardner had originally invented together. In the 1980s, the studio continued to expand and grow. They did animation effects for Disney's Return to Oz. They released their own animated feature in 1985, The Adventures of Mark Twain. They did the Speed Demon music video from Michael Jackson's film Moonwalker, just to name a few. But most notably, they were the creative genius behind a number of major 1980s and 1990s classic commercials, including the California Raisins, the Talking M&Ms, and my personal favorite, Domino Pizza's The Noid. So,
Wow.
from the brains that brought you The Noid.
The Noid.
Yes. Do you remember The Noid? Were you old enough for The Noid?
I can't say I do. I'm just the name is really getting me.
Oh, the Noid. Sammie, the Noid was this he was this weird claymation character that he was trying to destroy your pizzas before they got to you.
I'm a little scared.
And Domino's promise was that, they were going to avoid the Noid and they were going to get you your pizza while it was hot and within a 30-minute window. Anyway, it was a whole thing. So, okay. So Will Vinton Studios, it is like, this is like a true Portland institution. It was really this, it was this creative art seed that came from the late 60s. Now, was it the best managed company by all accounts? Probably not. They had some issues. Was it like, there's some talk about, Will Vinton maybe like, he only wanted things his way, and there was some creative kind of conflicts within the company. But that's all par for the course when you're running a creative studio, especially one that's doing claymation. Well, by the late 90s, they had moved from clay to foam, and they produced two short-lived series. The first was Eddie Murphy's The PJs on Fox, and the second was
that.
yeah, right? Doesn't that ring some bells? I remember that one too. And then a series on UPN called Gary and Mike. Well, these two shows only lasted like 1 or 2 seasons, and they get canceled. Now, Vinton Studios needed money. They wanted to make more films, but they were in trouble. So they went to the richest man in Portland, Nike founder Phil Knight, for investment. And they had to do this like multiple times. And when the first investment came through, Knight persuaded the company to hire his son Travis
This
as
is starting
an intern.
to ring some bells.
Okay. Travis Knight had just finished college after a brief attempt at launching a career as a white rapper under the name of Chili T. There's music videos. You can go watch them right now. It is everything that you think it would be and more. Okay. By 2002, the company needed more financial help, and Phil Knight basically entered into a corporate battle with Will Vinton for control of the studio. They had a prolonged kind of battle as their lawyers were going back and forth as to who would control the company. In the end, Knight became the majority shareholder. Travis, his son, then a junior animator at the time, was promoted to the board of the company. And shortly thereafter, the board voted to fire Will Vinton. He was given, I think, $20,000 for his severance pay, and that was what he walked away with from the company that he built with his own blood, sweat, and tears. Okay, Vinton sued for damages. The only thing he managed to get was ownership of his own name, leading to the studio to rebrand itself as Laika in 2005. I have a quote from an Oregon paper that interviewed Vinton around this time. He says, quote, "It was enormously painful. It's an enormous loss to the idea that a company can survive and grow and be healthy with largely creative and artistic ideals at its core." And this story is very important to me because this story basically is everything that I hate about American art markets. Here you have a real creative genius, a real creative innovator who is the real deal in terms of like building up a form of expression from nothing. He gets to do it in his home fucking town, building a internationally renowned animation studio in Portland, Oregon. But due to the boomer bust nature of this business, they get in trouble, and a capital C capitalist with endless funds is able to come in, take this company away from its creator, and give it to his nepo baby son to do with what he likes. Now, flush with daddy's cash, Travis Knight does a very smart decision by hiring the premier animator Henry Selick, director of Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach, which they used to make their very first feature film, Coraline. Since then, Travis Knight has been the producer and lead animator on every film that they've made. He was the director on Kubo and the Two Strings, and he has since gone on to direct the Transformers spinoff, Bumblebee. Fun fact.
Yes, he did.
He did. And the same year that Bumblebee premiered was the year that Will Vinton died after a 12-year battle with cancer. So I say all this to say I find the article incredibly disingenuous in terms of Laika's rebranding. This is a studio that technically has a long and storied legacy, but they can't talk about that legacy because Phil Knight and Travis Knight essentially stole that legacy and have been working with a sort of slush fund kind of. I just find it incredibly icky. I'm not saying Travis Knight is a bad artist or a bad storyteller, but this article reeks of a company trying to rebrand itself as some sort of American original. You know, they're just doing good old fashioned animation deep in the Oregon forest, and that's their legacy. But that's not their legacy. Their legacy is corporate takeover and essentially stealing a company from its original artist, and I find that very upsetting.
Yeah, and even here, I guess this is technically correct, but Travis Knight is branded the company's founder in this article.
Is he?
But yes.
This is like an Elon Tesla situation.
It's like the company's founder, Travis Knight, in the meantime,
well,
et cetera.
He's technically Laika's
the founder of Laika. Yeah.
I mean, he's technically the rebrand's founder, but they've literally slapped the new name on the company.
Right.
And I think it also speaks to like, okay, so fast forward, this article is talking all about how, they're really excited for Wildwood, and after a 6-year hiatus and after this big flop with Missing Link, they're ready to reintroduce audiences to their unique and genius form of animation. And they're really encouraged because they re-released Coraline this year, and the re-release of Coraline did $54 million in box office. And so they're feeling like, we're really ready to build off that momentum. I think that this is such a fundamental misunderstanding of the market. Coraline still succeeds off of Nightmare Before Christmas's rep. I think it succeeded initially because of Nightmare Before Christmas. Average people don't know who the fuck Henry Selick is.
I was about to say, I think like people don't know that he directed Nightmare Before Christmas. Like,
no, they don't.
Yeah,
they think Tim Burton did.
Yeah,
and they think Coraline is probably like from the mind of Tim Burton or something like that. It was probably
and it's
like
not. Who wrote that book? I can't
that.
remember. Is it Neil? It's not Neil Gaiman, is it?
It might be. It might be Neil Gaiman.
Yes, it is. It's Neil Gaiman. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know they've worked together. Selick has adapted several Neil Gaiman IPs. But regardless, like Coraline still gets the nightmare bump in the same way that like Corpse Bride does. And so I think that Laika is fundamentally overvaluing their own role within this film's success. And it frankly speaks to a legacy of kind of delusional and megalomaniac behavior at the hands of the Knights.
Yeah, and I think the other thing about Coraline, I think you might be right, but Coraline was also a really popular book. Like for people my age, like we read that in school, like in an actual class. Like it was like a very popular book. And I don't know, I like can't think of, this is also based off a trilogy of YA novels by the lead singer of the Decemberists, by the way. And that's just no shot to him. Like
Wildwood is.
Wildwood is, yes. And this no shots at him. I haven't read the books. Like they might be great. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like since the Hunger Games, and maybe I'm just old now, like books like for young people haven't really like taken off in the sort of way that like something like a Coraline did. So I also think there's like that aspect to like think of. I don't know if like, I mean, I have no idea how popular these books are. I've never heard of them before I read this article. Had never heard of this movie before I read this article. So that's all, I think important to think about.
It seems to me that they're more sort of trying to double down on like the good old homey Portlandness of it all. Like
right, the guy like
a Portland-based band with a Portland-based animation studio, and like, don't we all just want to go eat granola in the woods together and watch this movie? And which is just frankly a stupid sales pitch in 2025, but ultimately like is such a disingenuous rendering of the company's own story. I would rather this article had been like Phil Knight shamelessly stole this company from an animator and gave it to his son, and look what his son did with it. Wow, what a Alexander the Great move that his son was able to has been able to successfully navigate an animation studio for 25 years. Like, I would have rather they do a sort of reclamation process on the career of Travis Knight rather than trying to couch this as like something that it isn't.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, and I guess to sort of talk about like what else they're trying to do, and kind of why I wanted to talk about like stop motion in the first place, especially sort of couched in last week's conversation about CJEM. Why did they name it that? They should have named it something else.
They're Korean.
I know. Sorry. It's my own fault. It's my stupid English speaking self.
Yeah, I think it's a translation issue.
Yeah, probably. But it's interesting because like this article also talks about they're like getting into the live action business, like so I believe Travis Knight is working on something, I can't remember the name of it, some sort of live action thing that the name of it is escaping me, but they've also got like the new Taylor Jenkins Reid novel, which like I think she's a way better writer than Colleen Hoover, so I'm not putting them on the same level there, but like I would put her on a similar level of like popularity in that kind of crowd with Colleen Hoover. So like that's a pretty good get. And it also says like it's kind of just like really doubling down that they're just gonna like go hard on more things. And I mean, since this company transferred over in 2005, they've put out 5 movies, I believe: Coraline, Box Trolls, Paranorman, Kubo, Missing Link. So Wildwood will be the 6th. And part of that is because stop motion just like takes a really fucking long time. Like it's a really hard thing to do. So it's interesting to me that they're just sort of like, well, let's go like hard on the more content, more stuff without sacrificing quality. But like, that's an easy thing to say. But when you're working in something that is like stop motion And unlike Cat Biggie, can't be made in 6 months, like takes years to sort of develop and really work on. It'll just be interesting to see how that strategy plays out.
Yeah, I don't know. This really, I hate to say it like this because I think some of their movies are good.
Yeah.
Um,
I really
I
like Coraline.
yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
their movies are good, but it does feel a little bit like a billionaire son's vanity project, and I
Oh, yeah.
don't really buy the story of their scale up and like we're gonna be serious players. No, like you're a vanity project out and I'm sure your studio is very beautiful
Right.
and it affords Travis Knight the opportunity, post rap career to go and direct a Transformers film and he gets to go to Comic-Con and have a microphone in his face, every 6 years or whatever, and I'm sure that feels really awesome for him. And I think that this studio is like a vehicle for him to do that, but I'm not really buying what they're selling here.
Yeah.
I think that this article feels like a company that is uncomfortable with its own story. And if you're an
Mm-hmm.
entertainment company that your entire job is to tell stories and you can't even tell your own, that gives me serious doubts about your ability as a storyteller going forward. Like it just reeks. It reeks of bullshit.
Right. Do you think there's like still a larger populace interest in stop motion? I find it really interesting because I really am interested in it, like in just like how difficult it is and how it looks. Like that's what sort of interests me about it. And I know like I've talked to, I cannot tell you how many SCAD students that are like learning stop motion stuff over there. Like it is like a big part of that program. And some of them, I think I've interviewed a few who have gone into like work for Leica, like, like they do like hire people to do this. But like, do you think like what was the last stop motion movie that really like struck the popular crowd? Like they've been coming out on Netflix, so we can't tell because it's like Pinocchio and Wendell and Wild, I feel like, are the two in my head.
Oh God. Has there been like a recent Wallace and Gromit like or
Oh,
something?
there was. I don't know how well it did
Yeah.
though.
I don't know either. I didn't see
uh,
it.
it was
The-
a Vengeance Most Foul, FAWL. That's funny.
Ha ha.
But it was a BBC and Netflix. So like I
Yeah.
have no idea like how well these things are doing. I guess like at least they're being made, but
I
critical acclaim.
yeah. I mean, I think yeah, there's some sort of inherent like critical juice to stop motion just because it's
Yeah.
like you just have to be sort of crazy to do it.
Yeah.
I am thinking a lot about Phil Tippett, the animator behind a lot of
Yeah.
like the Star Wars kind of monsters and
Mhm.
Jurassic Park, and he was this real kind of genius behind a lot of the movies of the 80s and 90s. He
Mm.
crowdfunded
Mhm.
his own stop motion film called Mad God,
Yeah, I remember this.
which
Yeah.
I saw, and I was really excited to watch it. Like I was excited to be immersed in a sort of stop motion world. I thought the movie was really mid.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was like all world building. No, I found it a little
Mhm.
substanceless as far as a film goes. So yeah, I have no idea what the market is for stop motion animation. I don't even know like what its perception is in sort of the greater world. I mean,
Right.
it definitely feels like nostalgia, kind of throwbacky. I guess it's a good juxtaposition because I know a lot of people complain about sort of the most recent Pixar like animation style. Like I've saw a
Yeah.
lot of people, when discussing Elio and Elio's failure, was like, I hate the way the characters look. I'll never see a movie that looks like this. Like just
Mhm.
in terms of like the way the characters' faces are
Right.
rendered, like that Pixar
Right.
face
Yeah.
style these days. And so I guess
Yeah.
it sets up like a nice contrast to like the sort of the Disney Pixar kind of
Yeah.
big eyes, like everyone looks sort of like a baby doll kind of like vision of
Mhm.
animation. But yeah, I don't really know. I definitely think all the signs towards original IP animated movies are looking really, really
Real
bad.
bad.
And
Yeah.
so them coming out super hard of like, no, we're tripling down on original animated stories, and we're gonna make more of them, and we're gonna go harder. I just no, you're not. No, you're not. You're Travis Knight. There's no way Chili T is going to be delivering these films like year after year. Y'all got to go watch some Chili T videos. It is so cringy.
I
It's
am
amazing.
kind of scared. I don't really want to. I have enough.
You have to.
I have enough problems with like Chet Hanks popping up on my TikTok every now and again. I don't want to see more.
I'm glad you said his name and I didn't. Big Chet Hank vibes from Chili T here. Like you think he's about to like unleash a Jamaican accent like mid rap.
No.
Yeah, a big Chet Hank vibe. I mean, and look, like I'm being so mean to this guy, but like, you know, credit to him that he's not Chet Hanks. I mean, he is a clearly
he
a
didn't
competent.
Continue to do this.
No, he didn't. He's clearly like a competent, you know, non-crazy person,
right.
Who is like, you know, is able to make things with his dad's money, and that there is something to be said for that, like for sure. And he is an artist. Like he makes stuff. He does. But there's a legacy to this company that they're not acknowledging, and that just everything about it just gives me the ick.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we all learned about that legacy today. But do you have anything else to say about this? About what's going on? About Wildwood?
I mean, I'll check it out. Yeah, no shots at Portland, city of bridges. I've actually never been to Portland. I'd love to go to Portland.
Me neither.
It looks lovely.
I agree. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap things up here. But before we go, have you been watching anything fun this week? Anything new?
Yes, I did watch something new, Sammie. This week I watched a film by Zia Anger. It's called My First Film. Are you familiar with this little number?
I am not.
So this is a film. It's a movie production. Zia Anger. I kind of she's a filmmaker. She's been around for a minute. She kind of has like kind of Miranda July vibes. She's like a sort of like,
I see the vision.
She's got big Miranda July energy. Lots of selfie videos of her dancing. You know what I mean? But she made this. She did a performance piece based on her making her first film, and it's just a disaster. And she gets pregnant while she's making the film, and she doesn't want to be pregnant. She's like 20 years old. So it's like, and so that's like a major theme within it. I don't think I really cared for the movie. But a major part of it was that it was the combination of every horrible set I have been on in my life. And it was rendered
too stressful.
It was rendered in just like incredibly immediate, like cringe inducing. Yeah. I mean, it was so painful to watch because every scene triggered me in a way that like, I have been there. Like I just knew exactly what every scene she was talking about and how it feels and how stupid and horrible it is, like being 20 years old and trying to make movies. Oh my God. It's actually making me sick just to think about.
Right.
I thought the overall, I didn't really care for the overall story of the film, but it certainly rendered this kind of core experience of making a film when you're young in vivid and wonderful detail. And I give her a lot of credit for that. It's available on Mubi. I'm trying to use my Mubi subscription that I got as a byproduct of this podcast. So that was my Mubi watch of the week. I'm certainly glad I watched it. I'm trying to watch more new release kind of indie art house stuff.
Your reaction sort of reminds me of, this is much more general, but this feeling I had watching 8th Grade by Bo Burnham, because it was just like the whole time I was like, God, being an 8th grade girl sucks. And what would I have done if I had YouTube like that? Or like the social media kind of landscape was what it is now when I was in 8th grade, and it just like I felt bad the whole time I was watching the movie.
Yeah, I liked that movie.
I did too. I thought it was sweet, but I just had like a kind of visceral like kind of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This comes out on Friday. This episode, right?
Yep.
making sure I can talk to us. I can talk about this movie then. So my review should be coming out today, but I watched Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight, which is directed and stars Embeth DeWitz, I think is how you say her name. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. But it's based on, I think her name is Alexandra Fuller, her memoir of growing up sort of in Zimbabwe, then Rhodesia, sort of in the middle of the kind of struggle for Zimbabwean independence. So she is like a small white child from a white family who like desperately wants to stay in Zimbabwe amidst like a war that is like constantly pushing for them to leave. So it's from the perspective of this 8-year-old child. I thought the young actress, her name is Lexi Venter. She was wonderful. I just thought she kind of reminded me a bit of the little girl in the Florida Project, just sort of in like, she very much feels like a little kid, not a little kid acting, if that makes sense. And I thought it was a really interesting movie. I think it's like sort of difficult for movies like this to like get out of, I guess, like for lack of a better term, like a colonial point of view. But in this movie, it seems to be very like aware of that perspective, and that perspective is sort of the point. Like it's kind of about how hard it is to sort of like unlearn a lot of traits and kind of things that have been passed down to you as you grow up. And that's sort of what this like little child in the middle of this like conflict that she really doesn't have much to do with is sort of going through. So I didn't think it was perfect, but I really enjoyed it, and found it quite moving in a lot of ways. So
it's awesome.
All right. Do you have anything else you wanna plug, or anything else coming up?
Yeah, July 24th, Harakiri will be screening here in Atlanta at the Plaza Theater, 7:30 p.m. behind the Slate Podcast. It'll be great. I'm really excited to talk about this movie. And then on August 7th, Thursday, August 7th, I will be in Athens screening the original 1954 Godzilla for the very first Behind the Slate Podcast live show at Cine in Athens, Georgia. So very excited for that. And then after that, August, I've got a whole bunch of withdrawal screenings happening throughout the state of Georgia, going on like a little Georgia festival tour. We'll be at Atlanta Underground Film Festival on August 10th. August 14th, be back at Cine in Athens for the opening night of the Athens Film Festival. And then on August 24th, Sunday, we'll be at the Macon Film Festival. It's going to be a little 3-week Georgia circuit with withdrawal. And really looking forward to that. But this has been great, Sammie. Thank you so much, as always, for talking to me about the movies and the business. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit us with the 5 stars, rate and review. It really, really helps us out. You can follow us, Crash Zoom Podcast, on Instagram and TikTok. Email us, crashzoompod@gmail.com. That is crashzoompod@gmail.com. Are you buying what Laika is selling as far as the future of animated film? We would love to know what you think. This has been fantastic. And until next week, Sammie, I will talk to you.
Talk to you then. Bye.